For measurements and annotations on the Chison ECO 3, we'll go through a few of the different ways of doing annotations and measurements. First, let's take a look at the arrow. The arrow is right over here. We're going to freeze our image and choose the arrow button. Here we could scroll it around the image, and we can also use the angle to change the angle of the arrow. And then you just hit the enter to set the position of that arrow. And if you want to change that position, you can scroll over the top of it. You see those 4 arrows. You can click it and highlight it, move it again, change the position, change the angle, hit enter. To exit that, just hit arrow again. To clear those, just hit the delete key. For annotations, we're going to use this little button here, which looks like a pencil on a piece of paper. Go ahead and hit that. And here along the bottom, we'll get to that in just a minute for custom annotations. But you can scroll the trackball and you can just start typing. And you see I typed a G and some preset annotations that came up on the screen that I can select using the menu and then pushing down. Click on it and move it. And that whole library of annotations is customizable in the system setup, which we'll get into a later spot. If I don't want that library, I can just go ahead and just, type Brian. And place it on screen. Same thing as before. I can hover over it, click it, move it. Same thing here. And put it in a different position. Once I've clicked enter, it's going to turn white, obviously, as you've seen. And then it's saved. You can save that image. You can add an arrow to it. Set, move arrow. And then if I want to clear them all, I'm just going to hit the delete key. For the quick text feature, we're going to go back to that annotation button again. And we saw this down here. If we want to change all these down here, I'm going to click the edit button. And here they come up top, and you can just type in whatever you want. Just a bunch of T's. Click done. And so now that showed up down there. How do we put it on screen? Choose from here. Say I want to choose text 3, and then I'm going to say input, and there it puts it up on screen. So that way, if you have 6 items that you really like to use a lot, then you can enter those there. So note that you can also change font size here. There's some other options down here to change what size of the text is. This home position and save home position. If I hit load home position, it goes back to here. If I want my home position to be someplace else, I'm going to hit save home position. So if you've got a place you typically go to on the screen, when you hit annotation, when you hit save home position and you hit annotation, the cursor will automatically appear at that spot. I'm going to go ahead and get out of annotations by pressing this annotation button, clear the screen by hitting delete. One more thing on the annotations, if we just click the annotation button here, we have that library that appeared. So if I type a letter and it shows up, I can hit this change key and it will scroll through all the available applications and the libraries associated to them. So you can just choose that and move on. So I'm going to go ahead and get out of that. So I have my measurement keys right down along here. For distance, I'll just click distance, and I have some options down along the bottom saying what is it that you want to do. How do you want to make the measurement? I can do distance and make different selections from angle, ratio, distance, or just general distance. And if I want to make that measurement, I'm just going to go from A, and I can choose here the second position, and if I update, it will allow me to go back and forth between those 2 positions, and that works in the ellipse and all other modes. If you want to go back between the points, you're going to hit update, and then you'll hit enter and it will save the measurement. If I want to go to a trace, again I have the same ideas here. If I want to go to an area trace, I'm going to click it, scroll around, and if I want to delete and go back, I'm going to hit the update key. And I can keep tracing and go around. And if I didn't like what I did, I can hit update to go back. If I want to close the loop, I hit enter and it closes the loop. The ellipse is a little more complicated. So if we go to choose one for an ellipse by hitting this button down here, I'm going to hit enter. I'm going to do the same thing. Let me get rid of those other comments first. Now I can go update and go back and forth, but I'm not able to change the width. In order to do that, I'm going to hit the change key, hit enter, and go back and forth. Now I can go to update, change it back, hit the change, enter, enter, and that saves it. For the calculations, we'll just go ahead, we'll freeze the image, hit the calc button, and we have our options up here on the vascular menu. If we want to go to a different calculation package, we'll hit this change button, and it will flip through all the different packages that are available for that imaging mode. Again, you would do the same thing as before. You just go back, depending on what it is that you want to measure. You can just go to the vascular real quick. Scroll down, I'm going to select volume, 2-axis, and I can just click here, change, click here, change, enter, and I can make it this way. Hit update again and I can change it, and hit enter, and it'll save.